Hmm. Hello, this is my third time coming on live. I'm gonna really hope that this will last till the end. I'm gonna avoid showing my face because I've realized that's when most of the problem happens. Please do let me know if you can hear me and I can pick up from where I left off. I'm super sorry. I wanna say sorry again for the network disruptions. I'm in Chittagong right now, and I'm in Chittagong and there's heavy rainfall, and it's just the internet is just being super awesome and supportive. Why we don't have Wi-Fi, but just the mobile data is not even cooperating. I'm absolutely sorry again. I'm super sorry. I'll turn back to our slides. I know that you guys probably listened up to here, which was my first year in Brandwidth, and let me know if you guys heard up till this much, and I should continue onwards. Okay, great. It's fine now. Please do tell me if I should continue from here or how much you have heard till. And I'm sorry, very sorry once again for the delays. I'm super sorry. Mritika told me that you guys have probably heard till this slide, so I'm gonna progress onwards from here. This was my first year doing Brandwidth, which was at that time a big league competition, and I would see that only third to fourth year students would make to it. Me and my team, we were super lucky that we had made it, but we did not win anything. Great feedback, which was that we were always very easy with coming up with ideas. We came up with many ideas and we put all of them into slides. So Asaduzzaman Noor, who was a judge then, told us that every idea was like a pearl, but I couldn't find the string that tied up the pearl, which meant that he couldn't understand how the great ideas together built up a solution. He really couldn't understand that. Taking this feedback, we tried to improve. This is 2016, my second year doing creative, and we really tried to improve, but we couldn't because again we got a feedback. So many great ideas presented, but if you were to tell me about a key idea that can be an umbrella for all your ideas, what would that be? That meant that even though became champions, it was still unaware to the judges what was the cause of all our ideas. And that was actually the time we realized, you know what, we'll change our entire outlines. So this brings us actually to our topic, which is business competitions and cracking it, because we were a team that had abundance of ideas and did not know how to organize them. And then we also heard from teams who had no ideas and did not know where to begin. So this is where the cracking it part comes in. Firstly, I'll tell you about the four kinds of competitions that exist currently in the market, and I'll show you how to solve all four of them. The number one is marketing strategy, and often they also ask you to give a business model with them. Um, Number one would be marketing strategy and business model. We have creative, Brandwidth, Biz Maestros, Battle of Mind, Sensation under them. We have business case solving, which is HSBC, and CBS global competitions. We have business plans like corporate readers, PTech blueprints, and then lastly we have the visual storytelling competitions. like present PWK or ad maker. So you can take a picture of this slide because I will be talking mostly on these four categories, and I'll tell you how to crack each of these fours. And I'll go from the most important level to the least. So firstly is marketing strategy, which is, I wouldn't say most important to least, but I would say most prevalent. Marketing strategy is the most prevalent kind of business competition right now, and often they ask you to give a business model with it too. Um, these are very beautiful slides made by Dipto, and I really appreciate him for doing that. He really helped me, beautify this slide. But because we are very short on time, I'll just jump ahead on the overall outline since I've already made you wait for me for so long. I would say for marketing strategy, these are the outlines. And I won't just leave you to this outline. I'll also show you an example of how we did it. I will open up the example of our Biz Maestros, which we did in our final year. I'll actually move up to the first slide and start from there. Before I do, I should tell you, moving back here, that as I tell you each of them, I'll color them green so that you can understand that statement is done. And once again, we're talking under marketing strategy and business models. For example, creative, Biz Maestros, Battle of Minds, Sensation, etc. For our BizMasters that year, the case was on bringing in a WASH model for urban slums. WASH is water, sanitation, and hygiene. So this was our slide. Don't be disheartened by the images here. These are not images. These were rather 6-second loop videos. So the 6-second loop videos would play, and then on the screen there would be an insight that we would show. But because I'm scared if I show videos, I'll lose you guys again. So I'm showing a PDF of it. So please do understand that these images are not irrelevant, but they are rather 6-second loop videos, because we do this habit of where whenever we are presenting something to the judges, we want them to physically experience it with us. Moreover, we want to show that we have spent many days with this target group to understand what they want and to come up with a solution for them. So I will begin right here. So our first slide, as everyone says, your first slide should be the hook slide. This is something I don't have to tell you by now, but it's something you probably do already. So this slide was actually a video of a sunrise over a high-rise building on one side and over a slum on the other side. And this was a scene from Gulshan where there is a 12th floor high-rise building with a slum. And we said that a single sun rises above Dhaka city. A few witness it from their high-rise buildings and a few from their tin shed apartments. This is life. It's full of disparities. In here, we showed a video of us entering the slums as we get ready to understand the head-to-head lifestyle of the slum dwellers. We start about their early morning from 5 a.m. what they do. So we started something like what is often our sleeping time is their waking up time, as they line up with everything they have, all utensils to get water. As you can see, this woman has brought up so many utensils just to collect water, and right next to her was a bathroom in which her husband was actually using, and right next to that was actually a place where the kids were showering. And as you can see here, her husband is showering. So we showed this kind of videos which were just 6 seconds, so which meant that in each slide we would just spend 6 seconds. And then we all showed that how just within a small space everything happened. Here you can see that women are collecting water, the kid is cleaning his face before heading out to school. In the background we also have a gathering going. We showed the different drains they live in, how their morning starts. And I should remind you again that we are doing all of this in building the context of credibility. So in the context, we also showed different things like how starting from their day to night. For example, here was a video of a woman who was preparing breakfast for us, but as you can see, while she's preparing breakfast for us, her husband right around next to her is actually using the latrine. So that's how unhygienically they lived, and they had no choice for it. I will show you that when we showed this video, the judges and the entire auditorium was disgusted, but we also realized one of the judges was using his phone, put down his phone, because he realized that we were now in a credible chance to talk. This is what I mean when I say context of credibility. This is where we build up the credibility, that when we are presenting a solution, we have done enough research We have done enough research to get your credibility, to make you understand that we are knowledgeable enough to talk on this. So this is context again credibility, where you build up insights, relevant insights, to support your solution and impress the judges to actually listen to you, make the judges think that you're important. That's what we did right here. So with this video, I would say that this was actually our winning video slide. This just 6-second video disgusted everyone in the room, and they realized that we had actually done our homework. We had actually went deep down into the slums, spent every day with the people, to even get invited to a breakfast in their houses to see this situation. So this is where we proved our homework, and then we went on, we showed their daily life, what they do, if they send their kids to school or not, what their husbands do. This was another time lapse of a woman cooking, and we actually, in this time lapse, we showed that how when she came from the bathroom, she washed her hands with the same soap that she washes her dishes with. And as she touched the raw chicken to cook, when her baby started crying, she did not even clean herself and headed over to appease her baby. So this, all of this context really built up how slums, actually we need to actually come up with a solution for slums, and we have studied them enough to come up with a solution for it. We also put up facts like if they knew about diseases or not regarding water, sanitation, hygiene. We put up if they knew the brands or not, because our case was working on Pureit, Lifebuoy, and Domex. And then we said that, and then slowly from the morning we built up towards the night. If you haven't realized by now, we're taking them through the day of a slum dweller from morning to night. In the morning, in the night we also showed the judges how their night works, how they take desperate means of water, including collecting water from latrines. After showing their night, we finally brought them to our objectives. And our objective was to make them aware of necessities. They need to take care of themselves in factors of wash, sanitation, and hygiene diseases to actually grow up. So this is when we're done with the context of credibility. In 10 slides, we had proven the judges that we are credible enough to bring up with a solution. Then we had also given them a problem statement and objective, which is right here. So our objective was to reduce the dream disparity so they don't have to use necessities as a luxury. From there on, we had two objectives, because in our case, we were asked to build a business model and then build a marketing campaign for the business model. And please do let me know if I'm lagging. I'll check online before I proceed further. In the meanwhile, as I'm explaining the marketing segment, please, if you have questions, put them down. I have a team here with Aisha, Nafisa, and I believe Fayaz. Hai. Aisha, Nafisa, and Fayaz, they're actually collecting all the questions. So I'm right now currently talking about marketing strategies and business model. On this segment, if you have any questions, please do leave them before I go into the new sort of marketing case solving. So right now we're in this segment of marketing strategy. If you have any questions as I go, please do leave them. Aisha and her team will collect them and I'll answer. Then I'll move on to business cases. Okay? Hope that's clear. Ritika gave me a signal that you guys can hear me, so I'm going to proceed. So we give the objective of building a business model, and then we give an objective of marketing. So from there, we built up our objective number one. Always give your business model a name, because it makes them feel more unified. We named our business model Wash Ecosystem because under it we had water with pure, we had a hygiene with life, and sanitation with Domex. So we called it the Wash Ecosystem. So giving it a name really brings it together. We did something, and this is a tip for you, which is we always try to make our plans feasible. And the first way to do it is that express it through a person's view, which we did right here. We started with the person's view. Once you bring a person into it and give their view, then it's easier for the judges to understand, okay, this business case is actually very feasible. So we talked about Mr. Abed, who was a member of the community, and he was a facilitator. So what would he do? He would look care of the Pureit point. He'd take care of the Lifebuoy life station, and he would also take care of the Domex approved toilets. with these three, we want to bring in the change, and we also give the change we want to bring in. So under each, we want to change their existing habit, we want to make them more familiar, we want to bring in the prestige of having a clean toilet. After we gave what we want, with we want to change their mind, we once again brought up Mr. Abed and said, thus at the end of the day, Mr. Abed has to do this kind of tasks, and we also gave a number to make it feasible, that this is how much a slum would have to pay or Mr. Abed would have to pay. So bringing in a person really makes it look like the solution is actually very feasible. So I'd suggest you guys do that. Tell a story through a person. Start with his activity, start with his task, and this is what he's responsible of. It's always also pretty good to bring in a hint of digital here. Judges really dig it when you try to empower the rest of Bangladesh with the digital apps or technologies. And we can do that. So this is how we told him we can also give him an app, and this is where we actually tell the judges, like, look, our objective one of building a business model is done. So I can go back and I can actually take this off, objective one, building a business model, as done. Now we're going to go to objective two. By the way, if you want, you can take a screenshot of this screen, because this is the outline I will be following. Objective two is behavioral change. This is the marketing part of it. So then we come to objective two. Here we start with the target group, because so far we haven't introduced a target group. We tell the purchaser and the influencer here, because while the purchaser may be a father, he might not be the person for our campaign. Our person or our moving group might be kids. That's why we have an influencer section. So he purchases, but the kids of the family are the one who influences, because they are the ones in a slum who go to school and can educate their parents on it. So we had our target group, because we were identifying a group that is not really prevalent. Very few people market to kids, so we brought in this emotional factor that every year so many kids pass away from disease like diarrhea, polio, etc., that can happen from wash systems. We really want them to live longer, so they would be alive to make the future better. So here we showed an emotional video where we asked only three kids what they want to be when they grow up. So this girl said that she wanted to be a teacher. The boy next to her said that he wanted to be a cricket player, and the other boy next to her said that he wanted to be an army officer. This is again where we got the clap from judges, because it shows that we had really interacted with the people enough to get their verbatims on our presentation. So this here was also a 10-second video. And then we moved on to our campaign, Shusto Thaki Shapno Thaki. Now, the mistake that my team and I used to make earlier is that we would dump so many ideas. We would dump so many ideas on the judges. They wouldn't even understand what we were talking about. So we realized this technique that always under a campaign, keep phases and keep the phases related. For example, Janbo, Bujbo, Manbo. Janbo would be the awareness phase, where they get to know about the problems that wash can have. The problems they can suffer from wash. And then we're going to talk about Bujbo, which is now they'll understand what they can be infected by. And then Manbo, which means they'll follow the sustainable habits that we'll teach them. Once we had this phase one, phase two, phase three, it made easier for judges to understand, okay, they're doing ideas phase by phase. And so we did. In Janbo, we did a big idea of Shapno Bahini, where we mobilized the kids of the slum to talk to their parents about things, and we educated them through different door-to-door visits, different comic books. And then we come to the second phase, where we did a map activity, where we took the kids into the 3 points that we had established. So we take them to Puret, and then we would walk around to Puret station and we'd show them what to be done in Puret station. By the way, once again, these were all videos that we showed them. These were just 3 to 6 second videos, and we'd spend those 3 seconds in the slide, but then again we'd show the judges our activity. These were judges were absolutely aligned on that video, that first we go to Puret station and we show them how to clean your water. And then we go to Lifebuoy station, and then we show them proper hand washing habit. So this was a girl who was demoing the entire crowd how to wash her hands properly. And then we'll go to the Domex approved toilets, where we'll judge toilets, and based on them we will rate them if they're good or not. So these were the map that we would follow for 21 days till a habit was built. This is something the judges understood, because we showed them the activity of each of our action, and we'll reward them for this. This brought us to the Manbo phase, which is Let me give me a minute to check if I'm lagging or not. I hope I'm not. And then we'll come to the sustainable phases where we'd say that we'd sustain them through different activities. That was our marketing done. Our objective two is done as well. So here I can go on objective 2, I can make it green because we're done with this. So we're done with the most important parts of the presentation. The rest are is what gonna follow. So goal achieved is basically from your activities, what did you ultimately achieve? In this case, we showed this beautiful video of kids holding up the different SDGs, and we showed them we actually helped improve 5 different SDGs. Then we go to key figures. This is where I got a lot of questions from earlier, that how do I show our finances? Guys, we only show this much. We only show our total investment, break even, profit, and ROI. That's it. We show an SROI, which is social ROI, how many people I impacted and what was the money cost from it. So we showed one for hygiene, water, and clean toilets, because those are the 3 sectors we worked in. And then we gave a total SRI combined. These slides appendix, we find it important because we took a lot of research and we want to credit the research. It's not like we came up with the research. Key point indicators, we don't usually go over this, but we just keep it here in case judges want to see. We give the numbers, right? How many Purate points, how many people will learn hand washing, how much of the slum will have clean toilets, what is your conversion rate. So these are key point indicators. We give monitoring and evaluation, how we will keep on monitoring the slum people. And this is where we gave that, we would have people to monitor it. So these are things we can usually omit, but this slide was a thank you slide. This slide was actually very important. Make sure that always your thank you slides ties up your entire story, because in this slide we showed a video of us giving a cricket glove and a cricket ball bat to the boy who wanted to be a cricketer, a book to the girl who wanted to be a teacher, and we actually made a tiny army uniform for the boy who said he wanted to be an army officer. So I felt like this is where we actually heard the entire auditorium clapping, because we had really tied down our stories. But this is not where it ends. As you can see that even after the thank you slide, I've actually given a few more. I've actually given a few more points. These are things that my team and I used to keep after the thank you slide in case the judges asked us questions. As you can see, we're in only slide number 74 of 93. 74 of 93. So that meant that we had many slides after this in case the judges asked us questions. Look, here's our detailed financial breakdown. We had the investment breakdown and we had the social benefit breakdowns as well, in case the judges wanted to see. We gave the structure of different slums and how we can operate in them. We gave a contingency plan here in case we fail here. We gave the water point details, how would the water points be. We gave profits, and we get why would people do that. We gave rational against it. We gave how we can tie up with NGOs further to help people. We gave salary structures, expenditures. So everything was actually, a lot of the things, even we focused on what if the water quality deteriorated. So we always made sure that we put down our loopholes into the after thank you slide in case the judges ever wanted to see it. Here we also included a garbage system, because I feel like that's the only part of the slums we are not touching into. So we also included that in case the judges asked, and in case the judges wanted to see, we kept a scope for that. We also kept a scope for gap analysis in case they wanted to know how from where we was to where we went. We kept scope for all of that. So a lot of the things that happened actually came, explanations or loopholes that we saw actually came after the thank you slide. So this was the outline for building a marketing strategy or business models. I'll keep this on the screen so you can take a picture of it or screenshot of it. In the meanwhile, I'm going to start answering the questions Aisha and her team had given us. Do we need to use SWOT or PESTEL or any other models? In marketing strategy, yes, you can, but not necessarily. We're going to do that in business case solving, not in marketing strategy. Can I participate in competitions if I'm not a business graduate? Absolutely, yes. There are people coming from all backgrounds to participate. Actually, I should tell you, in Battle of Minds, we actually had a team from BUET and MIST make it to championship and first runners up. These were engineering students who came forward to do a business competition, and currently they all are working in BAT as global graduate operations. So they've all actually made it to BAT from that competition. So yes, you can participate even if you're not a business student. Third question: How should we prepare ourselves whenever we sit up for an on-spot case solving as the time limitation is given? Okay, I'm actually gonna get to business case solving after this, so we can talk about it then. Right, so I'm gonna get to business case solving right after we're done answering questions on this. How can I improve presentation skills? That's a good question. I myself had stage fright. So what I used to do is that in my class, when we used to work in presentation, work for any assignment and would have to have present on it, I would tell my teammates that I would want to present the longer part. And I would use this, and I would use this to build up my confidence, because in your closed classroom, if you are confident enough to even in front of your most close people, if you're confident enough to present, then you can present definitely in front of an entire crowd. That's what I felt, because I'm always conscious presenting in front of my closed ones, because they know me. I don't want to embarrass myself in front of them, right? But if I'm presenting to an entire crowd, it doesn't matter. They don't know me, I don't know them, so it's all okay. Apologies for that. So do start from your classrooms. That's how you can build it. How can I build a strong team for the I have a good idea for this. Don't do competitions with your friends. I did with my friends, and we would put every single idea onto the slide. The moment you bring a person who criticizes you into the team, that's when the team can work. You guys will have horrible fights, I know, but that's when, because you guys are criticizing each other, the idea is going to be stronger. So don't do business competition with friends. Rather do someone with a classmate, and find someone with skills, different skills. Find someone who's good at ideation, find someone who's good in PPT, find someone who's good at presenting, and find someone who's good in finances. So you found everyone from different skills. Apu, can you share this PPT file with us? Okay, I will try. I do have to take the permission of my teammates, because only I don't own this slide. I'll see. What is the recommended amount of in-depth financial information that should be given? As I showed you right here, that we actually had the in-depth after the thank you slide, but we just gave some key numbers. As you can see, we gave key figures like investment, break-even, profit, and ROI. That's it. And the details were after the thank you slide. In case the judges asked you questions, you can always ask them. How to identify the core issues correctly. Okay, this is a very good issue. So usually the core issues for a marketing strategy or competition, of a marketing strategy competition, would be given in the case, that build a business model or marketing campaign for this key target group, so they would be able to dwell enough. So in business strategy or business model, you don't have to find issues, but you do have to find issues and problems in business case solving, and I'll get to that. I'll tell you about it. Should we be optimistic? Should we provide optimistic or pessimistic financial analysis? Very good question. Definitely optimistic, because the judges are going to be pessimistic, so it's better to be optimistic. Very good question. Then, how to describe KPI and executionable plan? How to show campaign timeline? Perfect. Campaign timeline is actually pretty easy. You can say that the different phases that you have, how are you going to implement it? For example, in our case, we actually showed it like this. If I go to the slide for different phases, which is right here, so we said that phase 1 will take us 3 months, phase 2 will take us 6 months, and phase 3 is going to be for long term. So it's easier to show timeline. And as for KPI, how do I show KPI? Shall we start doing competition first? Oh, of course, I'll get to that. KPIs. How did we show KPIs? KPIs are number we did against the entire population. If the slum population was, we found that it was around 55 lakhs. So if that's only some population of Dhaka city, Dhaka and Chittagong combined. So from that number, we came up with our KPIs number. We came up with a number that we want to touch around 5% of slums with purity points. We want to touch around 36% of each slum with clean toilets. So these were actually estimates. We call it actually guesstimates, where you guess and estimate it. The next question is, should I start competing from my first year of university? Of course you should, because it's more experience earned. I started competing from my first year. I didn't win much. I just made it to finales. I competed in my second year. I also made it to most of the finales. Third year I started winning a bit. Fourth year I won only one competition, and the other one I was a finalist again. So of course, start early. How do you find the numbers while doing the financial part? Good question. We actually affiliate in here. We were working with NGOs, so we found the numbers working with NGOs. We got estimates from them. But if you're working with a company, ask a senior from that company. Or it's always good to do market research. For example, per capita per household, we found it asking the household. So we actually did ground research for that. Then the last question would be how to describe implementation plan in the best way. The best way to describe it would be in phases, as I've shown in these phases, that when you're trying to describe something, it's better to break it down. We broke it down to phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. It's always good. That would be the best way to describe it, but you don't have to clutter your slide with ideas as well. I hope that was the end of questions from here. I have one more. What do you think makes a difference in the finale? Guys, I think what made difference for me was uh, we and the rest of the teams actually presented very I would actually talk from Bizmeister's concept. We presented very similar ideas, but the reason why we stood out is because slides, we made them so emotional. We brought out real people in them, and these slides weren't images. They were all 3 to 6 seconds videos that actually made the audience in that auditorium think they were actually living in the day of a slum dweller. So I think it comes down to storytelling. That's what makes a difference for us: emotions and storytelling. I'm not sure if the same would work for everyone. I'm gonna move on. This was our marketing strategy kind of competition, which is right here. We're done with it, so I'm going to color it green. Done. Then we're going to go to business case solving. From here, I actually got 2 questions. Now, what is business case solving? It could be HBR cases or ABC cases. HBR is Harvard Business Review, and I do have an HBC case that I downloaded from torrent today. I'm very sure that a lot of you have torrents because Netflix Bangladesh doesn't have the greatest of all shows. So we do have torrent, and you can download any case from torrent. So this was an ABC case. We have ABC, and then we have HBR. So ABC cases are different companies who went through a struggle, or anytime they faced any problems, the companies do write cases about it. So this case is from 1997. It's actually pretty old, and many of the cases can be even up to as early as 1980s. I'm going to check again if my sound is all right. Guys, I really wish I could have shown my face. I could have shown you my reactions, but if I do, I'm afraid I'm gonna get cut off again. Um, Okay, so this is an ABC or HBR case. It's a 17-page case, and I would say this is one of the smallest cases I've seen, guys, because I've been to HSBC case solving competition twice, and both of the times all the cases were above 30 pages at least. So by the way, we're done with marketing strategy. Once again, I'm gonna have to skip all the beautiful slides that Dipto made for business case solving. I'm very sorry, Dipto. We're just short on time. I'm so sorry. I'm going to shift over to business case solving HBR ABC. I'm going to show you the outline so you can take a picture of it. And with this outline, once again, I'm going to show you a sample so that you can understand. By the way, the sample for HSBC doesn't have my solution in it. Yes, how to crack 30 pages business case in 2.5 hours. Oh, this is a very asked question. It's easy. For business cracking, what you'll do is that there will be usually in HSBC, there's usually 4 of you. So 2 of you will read the case in depth. The other 2 of you will study the appendix. PowerPoint, prepare it from home so you don't have to waste on making a PowerPoint template there. PowerPoint will be done at home. So the 2 of you who will be going into in-depth will start from the beginning of the case, and the other 2 who will just be reading slightly and summarizing things and will study the appendix mostly, will study the end of the case. But this is something you can do as well. I always flip to the end page. I see the questions first. What are the questions the case is asking? And then I start from the beginning. So anytime I find answers for the question, I should be able to underline it. I'm going to repeat again. What I do is that I start from the end, I read the questions, and then I start from the first. If I have the questions in mind, then I can find the answers. I'm hoping you have taken a screenshot of this outline so that I can show you the slide. This is our HSBC slide. I'll move on to the first. By the way, this slide I learned from Second String, a team of BUP, BBF5, who won the HSBC Nationals back in 2017. So I learned this template from them, and they actually won with this template. So it's proven to work. And I also included insights here from Onyx Sinha Bhaiya from BBA2, who also made it to HSBC twice, like me, I think. So this is where it begins. So we have the roadmap. It's always better to give, as you guys already know, better to give an outline of what's coming ahead. We start with the situation analysis. I'll go back here again. I'll highlight roadmap. We're done with it. Then we come up with the situation analysis. In the situation analysis, you'll mostly write about the case, what you learned from the case. I'm sorry that we don't have the answers to these, because I remember we submitted the slide to IBSCC, and then we it was in my pen drive, and I can't seem to find the pen drive. So I showed this is my template of the slide that I worked in, but I don't have the solutions in these. I'm so sorry, but I hope that template helps you. So under situational analysis, you're gonna start with the slide first, with the case first. You're gonna talk about the summaries of the case. In case you're the first team to go, it's good to tell the judges the case. If you're the last team to go, absolutely no need. Don't waste your time. You can always say, as you know, the few of the teams before me have already told you about the case, so I'm gonna skip over this and I'm gonna go ahead. Save that time. We're going to talk about the key insights you have understood from the case, or key insights that are important. This is a question that someone had asked, do we do pest analysis or SWOT analysis? This is where it comes into play, because you're talking about an external business. So I have put 4 different analyses here. You can do just any 2 of them. So stakeholder is where you put all your stakeholders and then you grade them. For example, if in power they're high or low, if in popularity they're high or low, it depends on your case. Then you have pest analysis. Here is political, economic, social, technical. You have the SWOT analysis, which is a must. The SWOT is is actually the must, and the others are benefit. You should always do a SWOT. And a Porter's 5. It's something also you can do, but I've never done Porter's 5. I always do SWOT and I do stakeholder analysis because they're just easy to do. And if we are working with a foreign company, for example, China doing business in Bangladesh, that would be a foreign company doing business in a foreign land. Then you'll do PEST, political, economic, social, technical, to understand what is the PEST of Bangladesh. But if it's a local business doing local in a local country, there is no need for PEST because you already know your market scenarios. I once again will answer a question here. One of the participants asked if we should put any analysis. Marketing strategy, no need actually, because it focuses on marketing strategy. But business case, they actually want you to understand about the country and the business. So you should put an analysis in this kind of competitions. After the analysis, put a gap analysis of where the company is right now and where you want to take it. This brings us to the issues. We once had a questions about identifying issues. I'm going to tell you about issues, symptoms, and problems actually. This thing is, in a marketing competition like the one I showed you, in marketing, they give you the issues. You don't have to identify it. But in the case, you just have to find an objective there. But in the case of business case solving, you do have to find the issues because it's 40 pages. You don't know where your issue went. So this slide for us usually works well. We do the symptoms, then we do the leading to the issues, and then we do the market, and then we do the core problems. Let me give you examples. Symptoms, for example, would be my market share is dropping. I don't know why my market share is dropping, but that's a symptom that it's just dropping. I'm watching it. So symptom is something that's happening, but you don't know why it's happening. So that's a symptom. What is an issue? An issue is often external in the sense that you can see that as your market share is dropping, your competitors' market share is increasing because they have introduced a new product. So issue could be competitor introduced new product and has taken over market. That could be your issue. So symptom is something that's happening in front of your eyes. Issues is something that's external, that is influencing your symptoms, and this leads to the core problem that, for example, maybe your product isn't up to the date or isn't of quality. I'll check again if my sound is working. So this is how you find the main problem. So I hope I've answered the question of the person who had asked that how do we show issues. You can always show symptoms leading to issues leading to core problems, or if you don't have time, just only show the symptoms. After showing the symptoms, please do tell a main problem. Once you have one main problem, it will bring you to your alternatives. Alternatives are basically solutions. The reason why we say alternatives is because you should propose at least 2 to 3 alternatives. One could be follow the existing model and add remodifications to it. One could be you come up with absolutely something new of your own, and three could be something absolutely different from the second idea. So you could bring 1 to 3 alternatives, but you're giving alternatives. Now let's choose the best solution, the optimal solution. The optimal solution could be 1 or 2 alternative, or could be even a combination. For my team, we always did combinations. It really worked out for us, because I'll give you a tip. We gave all 3 alternatives always. One would be the existing model, one would be a business planning change, and the other one would be bringing in technology. So these are the three sorts of solution we always try to keep, and we would give a solution that would have both technology and business strategy change. You have the optimal solution. You can't just leave judges to here. You're telling them course of action, different courses of action, but you need to bring them together to make them happen, right? Because this optimal solution is something the company can do, but they need to communicate to the rest of the world what they're doing. For that, we bring the big idea. The big idea should be a communication line that will prove both. For example, if my alternatives were that introduce innovation, and number two would be that revamp a marketing strategy, then my big idea would be revamp marketing strategy with innovations. So my big idea will always be the combination of two solutions. I hope you're clear on this. So here you'll just only name your alternatives in big idea, you'll actually join them. You have the big idea. Now the big idea is for who? The target group. So you tell them the target group. From here, guys, this outline will be almost the same as the one I had showed you for Biz Maestros. After target group, you have your plan of action, and it will have 3 phases: education, awareness, sustainability. It's almost out, the outlines are becoming the same finally. You can show your timeline of what you're going to do. For example, in the 0 year, you're going to do awareness, then you're going to educate, then you're going to start sustainable building habits. So after that, this is almost very close to the one that I've showed you for Biz Maestros. You should also address the challenges, which is very specific to HSBC, because the case also gives you challenges, so you should address the challenges as well. So here we address the challenges in the hills, and then we show that how can we solve them on top of them with the flags. Then we bring to monitoring and evaluation, just like we had done in Biz Maestros. We do different monitoring and evaluation KPIs. We give contingency plan, and then we bring financial feasibility. Here basically we add things from the appendix, and that's it. So as I go back to this slide, I did not highlight all of them green because I'm trying to save up on time. You can take a picture of this. This is all we have done so far. I will tell you one tip is that, guys, the appendix of an HSBC or an ABC case is actually very important. You'd often see that out of those 40 pages, 20 are actually appendix. So it's better to study up on them. Have at least one team member go over the appendix, because that's what the numbers are. So this is the solution. This is the template for business case solving. I'll show again. Roadmap, give them what you're going to do. Situation analysis, talk about the case, talk about the symptoms and the problems in the case, give your solutions, give the ultimate solution. I should have a big idea, and then how to implement the big idea along with challenges and finances. So this is the template for business case solving, which again is very different from marketing strategy. So I'm going to go here. We're done with marketing strategy. I showed you the template for that. I'm showing you the template for business case solving right now. And let's take some questions for business case solving. I will pause right on this slide for business case solving, so you can take screenshot of the outline in case you want. I'll head over to see if there are any questions or not. I only got one question from here, is that how to crack the 30-page business case. As I said, you're not the power of one, but the power of 3 to 4. So it's better to separate. Let two study the appendix, let two study the case, and it's better to start from the end and then build up to the top. I could also answer one of the questions that I had gotten was, if there are multiple questions, how do we address it? If there are multiple questions, then pick one big question to address, and the others can be your symptoms. And often the multiple questions in the case are actually symptoms. So do keep an eye out for that. That's business case solving done. I'm not receiving any questions on this so far, but if I do, go back and answer. We'll come back to our key slide. We're done with marketing strategy. We're done with business case solving. Now we'll go to business plan. Competitions that do business plan cases are, for example, corporate leaders. They sometimes do, but they also focus on marketing strategy as well. Okay, I have let me just talk a bit on business case solving, because I'm one question, which is how do we show detailed financial analysis when no financial data is provided in a case? Lucky for you, you don't have to show them. That's good for you. If there is no financial data, you don't have to show that. And the judges also understand you did not have internet, so you cannot look up cost of things. You cannot look up cost of a business plan. Judges know that you did not have your phone during the competitions, because they're on-spot competitions, right, that you do on spot. So judges know that you did not have your phone either, so there was no way you could call up someone and verify your costs. So they might ask you for guesstimates, but guesstimates are always supposed to be wrong, so you don't have to worry about getting them right. So the best part about this is that HSBC or the business case competitions, you don't have to be right, because you did not have any support of internet or seniors or juniors helping you or a phone call. So then you're lucky. Will you please repeat the fact about symptoms and problem statement? Of course I will. Let me go back right here to the, sorry, Deepto made just so many slides for me, and I wish I could have told you about all of them, but because we're in a time crunch, I'm skipping them. Thank you, Deepto, again, and I'm just super sorry, Bhaiya, I couldn't go through all the slides that you helped me to make. I just gave him the content and he beautified all of it. And also a big thank you to Aisha and her team for helping me with the question answers. Symptoms, issues, and problems. Okay, symptoms are usually the problems in a case that are not the main cause of your problem. For example, if your market share is falling, that is not a problem for your company. That's a symptom, because you must be doing something wrong for the company to happen. That would go in symptom. Now, why is my market share falling? Maybe my competition is doing better than me. That's an issue for me. So often issues are external. And then this leads me to my problem. Why are my competitors doing better than me? Because my product is not good. So in this case, the product would be the problem. This is, I'm showing you with an example. If I have to say definition, that would be a symptom is that a thing that's affecting your company, and issue is an external factor that is affecting the company, and the core problem will be, why is all of this happening? Why is my company getting so affected? Am I clear on this? If you're not, you can re-ask the question again and I'll answer again. Do you need to show financial projection in HSBC on spot round? No. If so, how should we show the numbers? No, you can't, because you're not allowed the internet or a phone call, so you can't show that. Some cases gives less money to implement big idea, which comes hard to implement. What can we do? You can resort to technology or digital. This is a hack that me and my team do. In the case that when we have less money to do, we start doing something digital. Because if you think about it, if BCC were to do this even physically, it would take them a huge amount of money, but doing it online actually makes it easier. Even though I understand that there are hassles, this is not a proper example, but even in the case of marketing, as you can see, we're slowly moving away from TV shows to actually TV ads to actually market to Facebook or social media ads, because that's cheaper and you can do more in a short amount of time. So if you have less money but you want to big idea, always give a technological solution. That's a hack. For odd cases, can you use outside data or strictly stick to that case? Strictly stick to that case, because even if you're knowledgeable on this, you can't use outside data. In that case, the judges will whistle blow that you were supposed to stick to the case, not bring outside data. That's the idea of being in a case, that you need to be limited within a case. And trust me, we have done this before, where we have given external projection in this happened in HSBC second year, and that wasn't well accepted, so we won't do that. Is it better to show more ideas or show less but 100% accurate ideas? Definitely show less but 100% accurate ideas, because that's how I started my presentation with. I just gave so many in the beginning of our first and second year. We just gave so many ideas in our business competitions that the essence of the solution would get lost. So it's always best to give one single idea which is 100% awing than many ideas where the judges will get lost. There's just so many ideas. Those are the few questions. I'll wait 1 more minute to see if there are more questions or not. And I will check the comment section to see that if I'm doing all right or not, and are you guys not bored or not. Thank you, Kazi. I just read your comment. Thank you. I'm feeling better. I was so upset about the technical issues. Okay, I found question. I'll answer that. If we are so confident with our solution, how can we win the judges in Q&A sessions? Thank you so much for asking me this. I actually really enjoy answering this question. You gotta be very humble. That's the solution. Often what would happen is that your judge would keep on hammering you, but you cannot be arrogant and you cannot raise your voice, or you cannot do any sigh. You just have to be very humble in this case, and you have to listen to them, and you will not argue, but you will be kind, like saying, if you allow me to answer, that would be sir, and then you'd go on and give your answer very humbly. And even after 3 tries, so you can talk back to your judges only 3 times. Even after that, if they don't understand, then you will say, thank you so much, sir, I'll actually take this as a feedback. I don't Thank you so much for this very different idea, I think I will place it into our solution. That's what you'll say. So even if your idea is good and the judges are hammering you, that's the way to do. Be super humble and be super nice to them. And when you're nice to them, they start feeling guilty. Why were we hammering this team to begin with? Another thing that I used to do, I actually did in my job assessments, is that whenever I used to present something and they would give me feedback, I would defend it a bit, and then I would incorporate the solution into mine. I would say, yeah, that's a good idea, sir. Why don't I incorporate this into phase 2 of my campaign? Then that would enhance phase 2 of my campaign. This also shows judges that you are willing to teamwork. In my case, it shows my assessor that I'm a team player. I'm willing to take up solutions from others and put them into my plan. That's how you can do an awesome Q&A session. Should we bring competitor other than those mentioned in the case? No, no. Do not bring in external competitors or external facts. Let's stick to the case, because that's what the judges will get a brief on. If I have more numbers of solid ideas, but it would clutter up the presentation, do I did some? Yes, unfortunately, I really, as I showed in the beginning, the few quotes I received from my judges, as I'm answering this, you can read one of the quote. We used to give the best of all ideas, and it used to clutter up our presentation, even if all those ideas were creative and amazing. In this case, yes, you do have to let go of the ideas that cannot help you stitch up the solution. It's always best to have 3 phases and have one big idea in under all of these phases. We realize that's something that works with us. I will once again show you this slide so that you can understand. We had a lot of amazing ideas, but we had to bring them down to these 3 phases: Janbo, Bujbo, Manbo. This is from my BizMaestro slide, and this actually co-relevant. আমি আগে জানবো, তারপর আমি বুঝতে পারবো ব্যাপারটা, তারপর আমি মানবো. So we actually kept it co-relevant, and we kept the ideas under these phases so they would be relevant to each other. So my suggestion would be that if you have many ideas, cut back on a few ideas and make sure the rest are actually sisters to each other. They're sisters. How do we set a proper timeline implementation? So my hack rule is always 3 to 5 years, because 1 to 2 years is too short. Something beyond 5 years is something too much in the future, and the judge will ask you, are you capable of seeing the future? So it's best to stay within 3 to 5 years. If you have an awareness campaign, it's better to do it for a year, and then if you have the second phase should be done for 2 years, and then the third one should be for the rest 3 to 5 years and onwards. And you can always say that I can change my plan after 5 years. So that would be a timeline hack, I would say, for you guys. It's better to do 3 to 5 years, guys. I'm not getting any more questions on this. I'm gonna move on to business plan. This is a short section, thank God, because the key outlines are already showed. So in a business model, you can in business plan competitions, you can use those outlines as well, but make sure that your outline addresses these things. So what you're looking at is the business plan kind of competitions, which are sometimes corporate riddlers. corporate leaders does also ask for marketing at times, but back in our times, corporate leaders used to ask for business plans. I did a competition by NSU called Blueprints that asked for a business plan. I also did PTAC, which is a supply chain competition that asked for a business plan. So in this case, what we do is that we try to address, we give a business plan and we try to address the following components. This is a business concept that you will learn in your BBA life, which is called the business canvas model. In my case, we did not learn business canvas model, but these days they teach it at university, and do this class with attention. This is the business canvas model, and this is what how a business plan is made. Even in real life, this plan is used by startup companies to show to investors what they're planning. And other than lean startup companies, also small companies use this plan to, summarize what they're actually doing. So this business plan addresses key partnership, key activities, key resources, how they will be, as you can see there's a factory button, how they will be procuring everything, how they will be distributing. There is value proposition, what it will be their marketing proposition, who will be their target groups, what channels will they be in, would they be in urban or semi-urban countries or rural countries. Customer segments, which means that what marketing would you target to what TG. You have your cost structure, which is your finances, and you have your revenue stream, which basically shows that in what part of the business the revenue is coming from. I'm guessing you guys would have a lot of questions from these, so keep the questions coming. I'm answering them. This business model, my team and I, we always we found very hard to do, and we felt like when we did this business model, we came off as more commercialized because there is no goodwill talking about it. So sometimes we felt like this business plan was too commercialized. That's when we changed into the second version of this business model canvas. By the way, this is the original business model canvas that was made by business strategist. So then we shift to the second version of it. The second version of the business canvas model actually addresses more warm issues, like what local communities would you be impacting, what are your governance, how would your employees be, what would be social values you would teach, what would be the social culture, the scale of your outreach, how many people you want to reach, and the end consumers, who would they be, what's the ultimate social impact that society will have, and what is the social benefit that they will have. I should say a difference between impact and benefit is that impact is ultimately how it's helping society. For example, if I bring in building a wash model, then they would be that impacting hygienic societies would be an impact, and social benefits would be for how it's actually people centric, that people are living longer, and as a result the GDP of our country could increase, more job opportunities may be there, more educated people, as people are living longer and they're living healthily, that could be benefit. So I'll repeat again. This is the business plan that we used to do from the business canvas model. It's a proven concept by business strategists. You can look it up. Often when we felt like it was getting a bit too commercial, that's when we would bring in certain components from here into the business canvas model. The second part of it are more nicer components, and they're very warm. And if we're doing a competition like PTech, I always felt like that we should always focus on the supply chain as well. If you think that business plan is not working out for you, you can focus on a supply chain model. You can start from strategic planning to demand planning, supply planning. So you just have to Google a supply chain management process. You just have to Google that, pick a model, put it as your roadmap, and go on and go forward. I picked a model that only limited us to transportation. I believe after this we can also go on to distribution and marketing as well. So this is all from business plan. You should be able to follow the business canvas model. If you can't, then you should follow the goodwill part of the business canvas model, which talks about better values. Even if you can follow this, then go for a simple supply chain process. Start from strategic planning to demand planning, and go the entire process through procurement, manufacturing, warehousing, ordering, transportation, distribution, marketing. So follow a supply chain model. Especially this really worked out for us in PTAC, because PTAC is a supply chain competition and they want to see the end-to-end supply chain processes. um, How do I differentiate myself as the preferred provider of this value? And shall I mention this point in value proposition? Yes, you can, of course. By the way, your competition won't just be this one slide. Each of these components will be a different sliders. So of course, in value proposition, you would have enough space to not only talk about yourself, what's your value proposition, but how to actually differentiate yourself. Let's wait a bit till I get more questions. This is something that you guys don't need to take a screenshot of, because this is very much available online. That's, once again, it's called the business canvas model. Let me write it down in case if you ever want to search this. It's actually one of my favorite business models that I learned in BBA. I'll check online for any comments or any questions I get. Oh, Afnan Bhaiya wrote something. No, Afnan Bhaiya, thank you so much. Actually, I learn from you all the time, and the fact that you said you're learning something from me is actually making me pretty blush. I was a bit upset. This is my third time going live. The first two sessions failed, and I don't know. I feel very upset about it. I wish it could have gone more smoother, but my internet is just being so supportive today. I'm not getting any more questions on business model planning. I will proceed to the last kind of competitions that I found. By the way, this is business planning done. Now we'll move on to visual storytelling. I did two competitions on this, which is PWK and AdMaker. I'm not sure if there are more competitions now available in the market for visual storytelling. Basically, what this is that they don't their key focus is how beautiful your ideas were told actually through a story. And excuse me for a minute, I think I'm getting questions. I have one last question on business plan. If you don't mind, let me read it out. Shall we only point out the strategies for the supply chain management, or do we need to construct the dots as well? That is, do we need to mention the transition as well? Yes, you do need to mention the transition as well, because if you're building a business, it's not only about suggesting a strategy, but also implementing that strategy. Like that strategy, how did we plan it? Now, how do we start the demand flowing for the product we design? How do we supply it? How do we procure it? Then comes the final this is the basically the raw material part that we're doing, that how I get the supply and procurement of the raw materials, how do I manufacture my own good, how do I keep it safe, how do I get the demand for it, and then transportation. So yes, there should it's a nice story, because the supply chain management process is done for you, so you can ride on an existing model and actually tell your story. What is it, a startup business plan model? What was it, a startup business plan model? Oh, sorry. Actually, yes, it's called the business canvas model. It actually started up with startups, and right now even small companies use it. So if you're suggesting a business plan which is absolutely from scratch, then that would be starting it up. So that's when you can use the business canvas model. And you're right, business canvas model was actually invented through startups. I was supposed to take one question, I took two. I'm going to move on to the last one, which is visual storytelling. As I was saying, competitions like PTAC and AdMaker, these are the two I've done where they focus on how you told the solution rather than focusing right on the solution. So for these competitions, you can actually do any of the outlines I have given you here. You can take up any of the outlines and do them. But I think I have a few tips and tricks here that I've learned over the years, and I'll show you them. So for visual storytelling, these are the 4 tips and tricks that I have. They really worked out for me. Number 1, be moving presentations. Moving presentations meant that not keeping my presentations static. I kept them moving. They were like videos that, as I've showed you in my BizMasters presentation, that every single slide where there was an image was a moving video. It was 3 to 6 seconds. I kept it really short. I would finish my sentence in the 6 seconds before the video even ended. In this case, the judges really felt like they were going on a journey with us. And that really inspired us, that wow, the judges really thought that way. Moreover, it also builds in the credibility that you have done so much work, because you have that many video footages, you must have, really taken your time to do this work. So if I have to show you back on my BizMaestros presentation, it's not all videos, it's some images, some writing. So building the initial building the concept part are all videos where we started from a slum morning and we built it up. So the insights and the context part were all on videos, but when we started giving our solutions, we transitioned into actual written slides, because we can't give too much moving slides, because then the judges would feel like they're seeing a movie. But your presentation should be about telling a story, not showing a movie. So we shifted between text slides, and then we went back to videos again. So that's how we did. It's better to show a moving presentation because you feel like you're taking people on a journey. Next would be story of a person. This method really works for us, where we tell the story with a person. We start, for example, with the story of Mr. Abed, and then we build up the story. Mr. Abed does this, Mr. Abed does that. Or in the BizMaster's presentation, we started with the story of children, and then we show how can we develop the children. It's better to show the story of a person, because then people can put themselves in the shoes of this person and understand your solution. So it's always better to give a story of a person. In our bomb slides, I should have put that here as well, battle of mind slide, we gave the story of a young teenage boy who, well, not teenage, he was a young adult boy who was in his second year of university, and he's a video game addict. And building on that, we built up our presentation on a new video game proposal that actually helps people's knowledge and brain. So we actually showed that guy in every slide to show how, what the feature of the game would be, how you would feel with that, what would be a relevant TGB. So you always use a person, then it's better, your story is better. The third thing is very subjective, but it worked out for us, which is we used to use vector slides, where you would use a lot of images in our images, or we'd use a lot of vectors in our slides the first 3 years of my university life. But I saw that judges were more empathetic and they showed more feelings when our slides had pictures in it. So I always prefer, since then, images over vectors, because the moment you can show real human being, this slide was open, you get more personal and you feel more connected to the person, because these are real human being pictures that we have put out there. So the moment you give a solution regarding that, the judges are bound to feel that this solution is actually for the people. So this is a very subjective tip, but it worked out for me, so I thought I should share that images always work better than vector. And the last should be I personally really loved making AVs growing up in BUP, and I've tried with different sorts of emotions on how it could work. And I've always noticed that in an AV, if you're trying to give information like use this technology, you'll get this many features, I tend to lose the audience. But rather, when I bring in humor into that story, I give a funny scene, people get attracted to it, and then I can give the insights. Or if I become too emotional, that's when I can actually give you get your captive attention and then give you information. Telling you all this, I can remember all the Grameenphone ads because they are just so emotional, and you just tend to hold on to them. Some ads also, I would say that I've watched other telco ads by Robi which are humorous, and you do hold on to them. So humor and emotional are actually proven techniques that will work better than informational. I did not have any outline to show here because you could use any outline from the given three processes. But I thought of sharing 4 tips and tricks here. So I'm actually done with the 4 kinds of computations that I showed you on the 4 kinds of outlines. Let me answer a few of the questions in the last computation before I close my presentation and you can go off to enjoy the rest of your night. Will after sales service be a part of supply chain process? It could be actually. I believe this question relates to business plan. While I answered that, if you have any questions in visual storytelling, please do leave them. Business plan, okay, so do after sales services are part of the supply chain? Yes, they are. In the sense, I'll give you an example. We sell Pureit, and Afnan bhai was going to come in tomorrow, is actually the STM of Pureit, so he takes care of the Pureit business for Bangladesh. In Pureit you have GKK kits, right, which needs to be changed almost once in every 2 months. So in this case, we actually go back and do the GKK kit servicing at times. So this means that even after we're done doing the sales, we need to provide customer services. The same could be for an air conditioner or a TV that you brought. If something goes wrong, the company will come back and recondition it. So these are products that are not perishable. So these are something you can do customer servicing for. But if you're making anything a food, edible, or something that you know is going to perish soon, you can do after sales servicing. So yes, after sales servicing can do the supply chain if it's not a perishable product. That's that. Let me see if I have any questions for visual storytelling, and I'll wait 2 more minutes. Can you show us the videos? Okay, can I show you guys the videos for the Biz Maestro's presentation? I actually can. I actually had tried showing it in a practice live that I have gotten, but it would lag very much if I tend to show it. And plus, I need to download it. I wish I could show it to you, but I very much apologize, Armon. Sorry, Aman, I very much apologize. I wish I could have showed you, but it would take a lot of time, and it's already 10:31. I wanted to end the session by 9. I'm very sorry on that. I'll go back to my presentation to take in a question. How effective is it to present an animated advertisement instead of a realistic advertisement? It's actually very much effective. Very much effective in the sense that yes, it would be different than others, because when we think of an AV, we might think of real human beings and the real life, but animation would be different from the rest. But I will tell you, I'm very sorry to tell you of this, but I have done animation AVs myself, and I feel like the judges don't understand the hard work behind it. Because if you were to shoot a real life video, it's just so easy. You spend 2 days shooting and then 1 day editing. Guys, it's 3 days and it's over. But when it comes to an animated video, you have to spend a week to develop it. At least back in my time, it took us a week. And we felt like after a week, artists did not understand its impact because it lacked human interaction. And I felt like that human interaction in that AV is actually very important. So while you might be different from the others, I don't think the judges will understand your caliber. So it really sucks to work hard, right, and then not have the judges understand how hard you worked. So that's a problem. I hope you guys took a screenshot of this page as well, where I said the different types of competitions, and I covered the outline. If you guys want, you can take a screenshot of this as well. I'll head over to see if I have any questions. It would be very helpful if you could provide us the size. Hi, Shabab. Okay, I'll try. I'll honestly try. How should I set up objectives? Okay, a good question. Because they were telling me to give the slides. Of course, I will. I'll try. I'll just have to get the permission of my teammates. I'll give you that here. I had a good question actually. That how do we show the objectives? Let me check back on that question again. How should I set up the main objective? Okay, I'll come back to this Bizmaster slide that I keep coming back to. It's a favorite memory of mine. Sorry. In this case, the person who asked it, let's count the number of slides we had given behind the context. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. We gave 20 slides on this, and we actually spent around 4 seconds on each slides, but I'll count 5. So if you make 20 into 5 seconds, we actually covered all of this context in 1.5 minutes. But I would believe that's an exaggeration. I'd like to believe I took 2 minutes to cover these 20 slides, because these were all one-liners. So after 20 slides, when I've talked for 2 minutes on a context, of course, it's easier to arrive to the objective, because I have showed in the previous slides how what is a necessity for us is luxury to people who are not privileged like we are. So that is when we show the objective, and it's always nice to give an objective which is not straightforward, but rather holistic and emotional. In this case, we said that reduce the dream disparity, so they don't have to view the necessities as luxuries. So a soap for them is often a luxury, but it shouldn't be the case. Lifebuoy is available as less as 29 taka right now. So it shouldn't be a luxury. They shouldn't have that image of luxury anymore. They should realize it's a necessity and they can invest this amount of money. A packet of Domex is actually only 20 taka and it lasts you up to 14 washes. So we wanted to make them realize that. So we actually took 2 minutes, a little bit less than 2 minutes, and 20 slides to build up the context that led us to our objective. And the context were mostly on showing how underprivileged they are and how they think themselves to be underprivileged as well. So I hope I've answered the question asked here, which was how do we build up the objective. I have two more questions. Is it effective to show animation and transitions in presentation? Yes, animation and transition. Yes, you could. Of course, you could. I believe technology has evolved much, but personally, I don't use animations because they tend to lag at times. There was this one time I went to NSU to do a competition, and unfortunately, I made a PowerPoint slide in. I think in an advanced PowerPoint software, and it did not end up working. And it's honestly none of our fault, not ours or theirs. It's just I shouldn't have made the PowerPoint in an upgraded site because not everyone uses that software. You understand me? That's my fault. And ever since that, I've realized, you know what? I'll just not use transitions and animations to begin with because I don't know the compatibility with other devices I'm going to give my pen drive in. Moreover, another thing is that, as you can see, if I were to spend more time, then I would probably show you this nice presentation made by Dipto, where there would be nice transitions and the things would build up. As you can see, he's building up the components. But because I didn't have time, I rushed to just the written part of the outline. Apologies. I rushed to the written part of the outlines because transitions do take time, and I'm not sure if I have that much of time to give. As I told you that we spend like only 3 to 6 seconds in a slide, and it's hard. You know, what if there are lag of transitions? Then it would be hard to finish up that slide. So I personally don't use transitions or animation because I'm scared that my PowerPoint will lag, but I'm very sure that it shouldn't be the case everywhere else, and you should be able to. I'm a fresher and I'm trying my best to understand, but I feel I'm not understanding many of the terms. Where do I start? I'm very sorry if you're not understanding many of the terms. I think a good place in my PowerPoint would be to able to start from this slide, the marketing slide. If you're hearing me, please do take a screenshot. I'll wait for you. Do take a picture of this marketing slide. After you have taken a picture of this marketing slide, um, I would say that let's see the outline for the marketing slide. The outline for the marketing slide is right here. So you can take a picture of this. If you're doing a marketing competition, this should be your outline. The second competition was business case cracking. I'll just wait a bit so that you can take a screenshot. The second one is business case solving. For business case solving, the outline is right here. Do take a screenshot of this. So if you're doing any business competition like HSBC or IBC mentioned, you should be able to use this outline. I hope you have taken a screenshot. Now I'm going to come to business plan. Business for business plan, you should be able to follow the business canvas model. Another model, in case whichever helps you, you should do that. You should have a supply chain process as well if that helps you. The last one I said was visual storytelling competitions. There isn't any outline for this. You can use any of the previous outlines, but I gave 4 tips. If you want, you can see them again. In this case, I would say that's a good question, to feel that you're not understanding things if you're a fresher. I myself, honestly, if I show you my first competition slide, I would cringe the hell out of here, and I'm not showing you guys. And I actually started my first competition in September of my first year, and seeing those slides, it's so unorganized and it's all over the place. I'm not using any business terms, I'm using no fancy terms, I'm not giving any fancy names. So from there on, I built up to what I am now, and it honestly took me 4 years. So if you're a fresher, the only advice, since you asked me where do I start, you start with doing competitions. You sign up for any and every competition that's gonna come, and hopefully it will just take you 1 year to improve. So get started when all this ends. The first competition there is, please do sign up for that. Another question is there any limitations on slides? Actually not, there isn't. Some competitions do give you a limitation. One of the curveballs that I did in creative was, after doing everything, the day before the submission, they asked us that you can only submit in 10 slides. So unless the competition gives you slide limitations, you don't actually. But it depends on you. You can have 20 slides which are full of information, or like me, you can have 73 slides which is just full of videos which are only 3 to 6 seconds and only requires you 3 to 6 seconds to say. I'll check if I have any more questions or not. I'm really aware on the time. I'm aware that some of you have Taravi, some of you have dinner to do. I'll just check 2 minutes for more questions. I'll also request the club to keep up the comment section open, or to keep a post open, so that you guys can keep commenting and I can collate the answers and give you the answers. I'll wait just 2 more minutes. Having a lot of info doesn't seem cool. What to do if I have 10 slide information? Okay. If you have 10 slide limitation, then you should cut down on your insights, or make sure that your insights are no more than 2 slides. And in the second inside slide, you should have your problem identification. That's 2 slides done. Your third slide, should I write them down? Should that help you? I'll do that then. Um, Let me do that. If you have 10 slides and a lot of information, then slide one. And slide one should be insights or context. As I said, we build up the concepts, context. And then slide two would be, yes, again, if you have more, but morely it should be problem identification and the objective. That's slide two done. Let me see if I'm still online. I'm online. Slide three should be target group. Target group, and tell us a bit about the target group information. Slide four would be your big idea or your campaign idea. If you have 10 slide limitation, campaign idea. Slide five should be the phasing plan or plan of action, which is awareness, education, sustainability. Slide six should be idea. Actually, 6, 7, 8, 9 should be idea. I think 6, 7, 8 is fine. Idea, or your whatever creative solutions you have in mind. Slide 9 should be financials. Financials, KPI, monitoring. Slide 10 should be thank you. I hope I've answered that question. So if you have a lot of things to fit in 10 slides, that's how you do it. Is there any limitation on slide? How much time should I take for a presentation? That's what the competition tells you to. That's something the competition decides. Usually in the first 3 rounds, which is the first round, the second round, and semi-finale, you have 10 minutes to present. Usually in the finale they gave you 15 minutes. Usually that's the case in all the competitions. Make sure that you divide that equally among all your team members. We made a really fuck up back in our BizMasters presentation. One of our team members only got 1 to 2 minutes to speak, and this left a very bad impression on us, because that's the judges say that I really wish that you could have finished, also you could have finished, then I could have given you the full mark. So make sure this 15 minutes time, each member gets to speak good amount of time. Please do that. What is the impact of pest analysis in business case solving? Good question. So pest analysis is usually used if you have a foreign if you have a foreign company operating. This is the pest analysis. So I've given four analysis that I used to shift back and forth from. By the way, I learned all of this from team second string of BUP 5. So stakeholder analysis is something I did if the company was, actually you can do stakeholder analysis for any company, but pest is something you do if it's a foreign company doing business in a in your local land. For example, it could be America doing business in Bangladesh, then that would be pest, because the American investors need to understand the political, economical, and social technological landscape of Bangladesh. But if it's Bangladesh doing a business in Bangladesh, you don't need to, we already know our market. So pest analysis, it's better to use it if you have a foreign company. Can you share some learning resources from where you had learned a lot? That is actually a very cute question, because I've actually learned all of this from losing a lot. I should tell you that I don't have many titles to my name, actually don't, but I have a lot of competitions I've done under my name, because I just failed so much. I did so much and I kept on failing and failing and failing. I think I've only won 3 to 4 competitions in my entire in my entire business competition career, but I would say I've done around 20, honestly. So you lose, the more you lose, the more you learn. So I guess anytime is a good time to start learning. And even in my third year, when I thought like that I'm mature, I actually lost to many first year and second year universities. It's absolutely normal to lose as long as you learn from it. So I did not study upon any of these, but I actually learned it from experience by losing so much. If that's how I should say it, because that's the truth. The first round of the competitions required a PDF. So do we need to write in details in Word file and then convert it to PDF, or we need to make PPT? It's easier to make PPT, because as you can see that in PPT, actually both can be done, but I prefer PPT because it's easier to do. Actually, in Word, I once read this meme that in Word you just give one space and the entire revolution of the earth would change, which is true. It's hard to do in Word because one thing would change and the images and the entire thing in the file would get distorted. So in this case, I prefer PPT. It's easier, and it's also the standard that, now that I'm judging competitions, it's also the standard we follow. So personally, me being a competition judge now, I feel that since now we all have reduced attention span, I feel like it's easier to watch at something that's going to end now and it has ended. So it's easier to watch at something that is happening in a triangle area, rather than watch something that's like happening in a longer area span. So it's better to have horizontal than have a vertical, because in a Word file I just have to read so much. I have to go from the beginning to the end. So I feel like it's really easier if it's PowerPoint, because I'm looking at it, now it's over. I'm looking from the start to the end, now it's over. So I feel like that it's easier for a judge, because we feel like it's more shorter. So we feel like, okay, this is done, the next segment, this is done, the next segment. But in Word, it's harder for us to keep attention because it's such a long page. And often in Word you tend to write more rather than showing more, and I am a fan of showing more. It's better if you write less and rather show me with pictures. Judges would probably love that better. Should I submit the printed financial analysis before pitching? This is a very risky move. Me and my friends, we have tried doing this. Sometimes it really backfires. It backfired in us in one of the rounds of Unilever Bizmeisters, where the judge studied too much into the financial analysis, and he started asking too many questions. I work with him now, but he still remembers that day, and he says that so many things were wrong. So unless and until you are super confident on your financials, don't give it to judges. On the other hand, from Bizmasters, when we did FLL, Leaders League in London, we were actually very confident on our insights. We not only gave financial or financials, but we also gave the different insights that we had learned because we're just super confident on them. In financial, the next question, in financial part, can I present my predicted financial indicators in PI? Okay, you can actually. I know these terms because I've studied finance as my major, but yes, you can actually. You can. I personally never did because, as you saw, that we kept the financials very short to ROI and investment because I feel like that's what an investor who's a judge would care about. That what's my return on investment? What is my investment? What is the profit? NPV yes, you can include them if you're doing an HSBC case. Definitely, you can, because you're talking about the company and what it's gonna bring. So you can. But I would say the person who asked this NPV, IRR, MPI, you must be really smart. Hey, if you're confident about this, please do go ahead and do it. Me and my team were never that confident about our financials, so we did not. So I really encourage you. You could go ahead and do it, but make sure it comes after the key finances, which is, as I said, ROI, investment, and profit. So please do include them inside side by side of these. I see a lot of questions coming in. Those of you who don't have a question, guys, you can please leave. I'm seeing that it's already turning 11, even though this was supposed to end by 9. I'm just so sorry. I'm so apologetic for extending it this long. I'm so sorry again. I'll answer the 3 questions that have come to me now. Should we change slide orientation to minimize slide amount or change the slide size for the same? Uh, I'm guessing by orientation you mean horizontal. I think that would be disqualified by the clubs. At least that's something I did when I was an organizer of the club. That if someone's changing the orientation to horizontal, they're actually cheating. They're not being smart, because when we talk about PowerPoint, it's mostly horizontal. So do something whenever you're doing any competition. Do ask the club that can we change our orientation to horizontal so that we can fit in more information. But I must say that's clever. As a judge, I wouldn't oppose that, honestly, but it's better to ask the club. How to make financials seem realistic to the judge, how to make realistic assumptions. A great question. How to make realistic assumptions would be talk to real people. If your plan requires you to talk with consumers, to do a so plan based on solely on consumers, talk to consumers and then come up with a price. If you're working with NGOs, ask NGOs for the pricings. If you're working with a company, ask any senior from that company for those pricings. If you're working with anything ATL or BTL that has to do with mass public, you can search up the prices. Like, what is the price of a billboard? You can search that up. What is the price of making a TVC? You can search that up. So that's how you can make realistic assumptions. But I will tell you that no matter how accurate you are in finances, judges will always find questions in them. And in this case, I've answered a question before. It's better to give optimistic assumptions than pessimistic assumptions. Yeah. Uh, could you upload a sample solution of business case that you have solved before? I'm really gonna try doing this. Unfortunately, both of the times I did HSBC, as soon as I gave the solution to IBACC through my, I tend to lose the solutions. But you know what? I'm gonna actually look for it. I should actually look for that pen drive. This is one question done. Are there any more questions? Oh, there. Okay. Whenever we have to jump into a certain number of slides, how should we respond in the solution of situation? Walaikum assalam, Khala. Whenever we have to jump into a certain number of slides, how should we respond in this sort of situation? Perfect. I've actually written this down, which is slide. If you to have 10 slides, that's my cat actually moaning. I'm so sorry. If you have 10 slides, then you can do these things. In slide 1, you can give insights or context. As I said, in slide 2 would be insights, problem. Slide 3 would be target group. Then you give the big idea, and then you say how you implement the big idea. Then you, in the slide 6, 7, 8, you give your idea. Then financial, KPI, monitoring. Thank you. So this could be a solution for you. Do we have any more questions? Let me check. The last questions by Ashikur. Actually, Imran is the person who asked about NPV IRR. Very smart. I never had the guts to do so in competitions. If you have any more questions, please do leave them. I'm here for 2 more minutes. I'll answer. After that, I'll ask the club to keep a comment section open. For now, I'd like to say that I'm absolutely super sorry that my internet broke down 3, 4 times. I'm absolutely sorry. I wish I could have had a smooth session with you guys in where I could have shared stories, and I could have properly guided you guys to the outlines. But I couldn't do that. I'm extremely sorry. I'm very apologetic for this. I'm living in Chittagong right now, and in Chittagong, it's actually a heavy hailstorm going on. So neither my Wi-Fi or my computer is supporting me. I'm super sorry for that. And now, besides my sorry, I'd like to give a shout out to the club for giving me a chance to do this. Competitions are a very favorite thing of mine, and to come back and show you guys how I did it is actually a very prideful moment of me. And I failed so many times to succeed at the end. I just feel very happy to show you the end, like what I finally learned. Thank you to the club. I'd like to give thank you to Deepto for helping me beautify the slides even though I couldn't show them. Mritika, Famidanis, I bothered you guys a lot, and my Q&A team of my Q&A team constantly collected the questions from you guys to give me. I'd like to give a thank you to Aisha and Nafisa for helping me do this. Now that I have no more questions in here, I really wish I could have shown my face, but every time I show my face through a software, my laptop crashes. So I'm very sorry I can't show my face right now, but I guess I hope this was insightful for you. I hope I did not bore you. Even if I did, we have Afnan Bhai and Ayman Bhai coming with their rocking stories tomorrow. I'm really sorry. I hope I didn't bore you. And if you have any more questions, do leave them for me. And that's all I can say. I really hope this helped you. Thank you, everyone. I'm not seeing any more questions, so I'm gonna go offline now. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.